Donald Trump wants them to remove sanctuary city policies and allow the National Guard to go through there looking for undocumented migrants. What has been going on in D.C. right now has been an absolute atrocity. I have a theory that we will get to at the end of this segment to talk about what I believe is happening with Donald Trump bringing in the National Guard and potentially including the military. We had Caroline Leavitt just the other day, yesterday, say Democrats were spreading the narrative that we don't need the National Guard in D.C. because crime has gone down around 30%. This is Earhart, I'm sorry. But then we heard those numbers might be inaccurate. Can you clear that up? Are those numbers correct? Caroline Leavitt says those numbers are absolutely correct. We're proud of those efforts. They're proud that they brought DC crime down, yet they continue to use crime as a means to put the military on our streets. Make that make sense. And then we saw that there was actually checkpoints that were being put in place at a busy intersection in DC. And we had Republican representatives, namely James Comer, going on Newsmax, a very, very right-wing leaning news agency, and decided to go out and say, we're going to support doing this in other cities. Mind you, James Comer is a sitting member of Congress, y'all. It's important to note this because in order for Donald Trump to extend this Home Rules Act, he needs congressional approval. And Republicans seem to be right there giving him that approval. He said, we spent a lot on our military. Our military has been in many countries around the world for the past 2 decades, walking the streets, trying to reduce crime. We need to focus on the big cities in America now. And that's what the president is doing. What James Comer is sitting here saying is that he wants to take the military that is meant to go overseas, all the defense budget, and use it for domestic affairs. Let that sink in. That's not a very Republican talking point. It's not. Republicans are anti-big government, but they love their military. So let's go down this rabbit hole of what I believe is actually happening with Donald Trump and this DC plan. There's a bigger plan here that nobody is talking about that I want to cover tonight. And I think it's vitally, vitally important that we talk about this. There's a lot of people that are asking themselves, why is Donald Trump sending the military into our streets? Why is he doing this? It doesn't make a lot of sense. The crime is down. What is he trying to achieve with this? Let's go down this rabbit hole. James Comer also said on Fox or Newsmax, forgive the Freudian slip because they're very similar. I think this is an experiment that that's probably needed in a lot of the Democrat-run cities in America. The problem with this equation is it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would you put these in Democrat-run cities when there are plenty of other Republican states that they're not going after? Namely, they're going after Baltimore, Chicago. They're going after D.C., New York. What do these all have in common? Well, we saw that after Donald Trump brought the military into D.C., the D.C. police, and I believe the mayor, put out an executive order rescinding their sanctuary city policies. What they said on this headline from NBC News says D.C. police to increase cooperation with ICE as part of Trump's crackdown, and immigrants who have not been detained or charged with a crime can now be reported to ICE for possible arrest and deportation. For any of you who have subscribed to the stream, you may have seen some of these pop up in my recent shorts. And you probably know where I'm going with this. What a sanctuary city policy is not somewhere where they can harbor fugitives and are immune from prosecution. That is not how this works. The sanctuary city policy says, we are not going to do your job for you. You are the federal government. You have all the resources to do what you need to do. If you want to come in and get them, but we're not going to help you find them. That is what a sanctuary city policy is. And Donald Trump has put in place in D.C. specifically a sanctuary city and now has pressured the government in D.C. to rescind the sanctuary city policy. And if this isn't enough, we can go down some of the evidence to prove this. Namely, border czar Tom Homan said on Fox News on Wednesday night, just this week, that DC under federal control is not gonna be a sanctuary city. We're working with the police hand in hand. When we encounter a criminal illegal alien, they're gonna be turned over to ICE, and that's the way it should be, he said. I mean, I'm not saying every illegal and alien in DC is a criminal, but many are. So these are what people we're going to focus on: illegal, alien, criminal safety threats in DC. What this Donald Trump administration is doing is they're putting in place the National Guard in particular areas. They're using the guise of criminality and Tom Homan doing what he does best to kind of twist what a criminal is. That criminal element they're going for, guys, is code word for undocumented migrants. What Donald Trump is hoping to do is expand this. You can see here at the press conference that happened, I believe, earlier this week, a reporter asked, the president said this is a model federalizing the National Guard that could be used in other cities like Chicago, LA, Baltimore. What sort of authority would he have to deploy forces like that? Caroline Levitt said the president is speaking about what he would like to see take place in other cities around the country. Now, I want you to pay attention to those three cities. What do those three cities have in common? Why would Trump want to put them into those cities? If you guessed sanctuary city policies, you would be correct. Chicago, LA, and Baltimore all have sanctuary city policies in place. Now, if that's not enough, we got more for you. We can see here a federal judge dismissed the Trump administration's lawsuit against Chicago. Just another example of what they're trying to do. We can also see here, if that's not enough, the DOJ just sent a demand letter. This was literally just yesterday to sanctuary cities, counties, and 12 states plus DC, warning them to eradicate sanctuary policies. Let's think back to how Donald Trump handles places that aren't listening to him. He files lawsuits. He puts military on their streets. This is a pressure campaign from the Trump administration to get cities to rescind sanctuary city policies. And this, to me, I think falls right in line with what they are doing, what their main objective is. I want you to take a listen to what Stephen Miller said at CPAC last year, guys. Listen to what he is saying in here. I want you guys to follow this. This was from last year. He lays out the plan in black and white for you guys.
Sometimes the immigration issue is extremely simple. The policies involved in fixing it are very complicated. The simple part is seal the border, deport all the illegals.
They're working on that right now through mass deportations.
That's the short answer, right? You get in, you have two policy objectives that you proceed with utter determination on. Seal the border, no illegals in, everyone here goes out. That's very straightforward. In terms of the policy sets to accomplish this, as President Trump showed in his first term, it's a series of interlocking domestic and foreign policies to accomplish this goal. In no particular order, just to rattle off a few fast, you have your Safe Third agreements, you have Remain in Mexico.
Safe Third agreements basically mean if there is a country that you are going in between, that you should stay there. I don't think we have quite seen that just yet, but they have been deporting other undocumented immigrants, to other countries that are not of their own home country.
Finish the wall. You have robust prosecutions of illegal aliens. You do.
Robust prosecution of illegal aliens is how he defines it. We are seeing that right now, although any of the undocumented migrants that go to court are going to be swept up in this ICE raid.
Interior repatriation flights to Mexico.
Interior reparation flights to Mexico, which they are doing. They are sending them back to Mexico, to other countries like continents like Africa. We're seeing that play out right now.
Back to the north of Mexico. It's very important. You re-implement Title 42.
Title 42, I believe, wasn't that the Remain in Mexico policy? I believe it was Title 42, I think, was the colloquial Muslim. I have to look at that, but that one has been re-implemented.
Several muscular 212Fs. That's the travel ban authority.
There's the travel ban, which they have implemented. There's a check. This is exactly what they're going down.
We did a few of those in the Trump administration. You would bring those back and add new ones on top of that. You would establish a large-scale staging ground.
Large-scale staging ground. Sounds kind of like Alligator Alcatraz, right? I think they just made a new one in Florida called like Deportation Depot or something like that.
For removal flights. So you grab illegal immigrants and then you move them to the staging grounds, and that's what the planes are waiting for federal law enforcement to then move those illegals home. You deputize the National Guard to carry out immigration enforcement.
Did you just hear that? This is the only thing that's not been checked off. Deputize the National Guard. Now, I want us to go back. Let's go back to what we saw earlier. A group of law enforcement officers across several agencies turned a busy intersection in a D.C. neighborhood into a police checkpoint as part of Trump's directive to crack down on crime in the nation's capital. What do you typically need when you go through a checkpoint? An ID. Something, right? They want to check you out. But what happens when you're an undocumented migrant and now there's no sanctuary city policy in place and you are at the behest of Donald Trump? That's right. You get picked up and you get deported. There are going to be, what I predict is going to happen based on what Stephen Miller has said and what we are seeing play out right now in DC, is Donald Trump is trying to put in place the National Guard in several cities that are called sanctuary cities to pressure them to remove sanctuary city policies, right? He wants to put them there. He wants to sue them, right? He wants to remove federal funding from them. And then he's going to, once they get comfortable, they go, okay, sorry, we surrender. We'll let you kind of put the National Guard on our streets. They'll implement checkpoints. And now they're going to run through the streets trying to find undocumented migrants. That is the prediction of what I am going to believe is happening right now and what makes the most sense with what is happening in DC at this moment. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they're using crime as a precursor to why they are going into DC streets. Their own administration is saying that crime is down. So the only logical explanation for this is that this is because Donald Trump wants them to remove sanctuary city policies and allow the National Guard to go through there looking for undocumented migrants. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell to get notified of all future videos. And I hope you watch the next video. Thank you so much.